Listener-supported St. Gabriel Catholic Radio AM 820 brings you Family Sanctuary, a show that inspires living the gospel message in word and deed within our families. And now, Family Sanctuary with host Peggy Hartshorn.
Welcome to the Family Sanctuary, focusing on life-giving relationships and the family. I'm your host, Peggy Hartshorn, with Heartbeat International, that advances life-affirming pregnancy help around the world. And today we have a really special program for you. The name is Drama-Free Discipline. And who is the best expert? You probably, his name may have popped into your mind already, who is a guest on our program today. And I'm so happy to welcome Dr. Ray Guarendi. Welcome, Dr. Ray.
Hello, Peggy.
It's great to have you on the program. I'm so excited because your program is my favorite, actually. I love to have lunch and listen to you almost every day on St. Gabriel Catholic Radio on your program The Doctor is In. So Dr. Ray is a Catholic psychologist, author, and speaker. He's a husband, father to 10 adopted children. So that tells us something about drama-free discipline, I would imagine, and we'll get back to that. He's a clinical psychologist, the author of over 20 books, a professional speaker, international radio and television host, and for over 40 years, his in-depth experience has led to helping thousands eliminate parenting frustrations and build stronger marriages by showing them proven parenting techniques and following their God-given instincts to raise their kids for heaven. So it's such a blessing to have you on. This, of course, is the subject of our program, the Family Sanctuary. How do we strengthen our families and make them sanctuaries of life as God intends? So I love your topic, drama-free discipline, Dr. Ray, that we're going to be talking about today. I would imagine that drama is just kind of the natural environment in most homes with children. That's probably the common environment. I can imagine as you were raising 10 adopted children, there was that what do I want to say, risk of drama almost all the time. So how let's start it out. How do we engage in the type of discipline that is going to I guess, reduce that drama as much as possible within the family?
Well, Peggy, I got to dispute you. We had very little drama in our discipline with our children because we just didn't let them in the house.
Oh,
you know, when you let them in the house, pretty soon stuff happens.
That's
so
the
we
answer.
just kept them outside. Now, sometimes during the holidays, we felt guilty because they'd look in and they'd see the Christmas tree lights on and everything. But other than that, we just let maybe one in at a time. So I think that's the way to do it.
Well, that wraps up our show. Should we do the conclusion then, Dr. Ray?
I had a psychologist come into my office. And this is not surprising because, unfortunately, my profession, and includes social workers and counselor types and child development people, because they try to practice all the new and enlightened psychological notions, gentle parenting, it blows up in their faces. What tends to happen is the child becomes more difficult, more frustrating, and then they get angrier and they get frustrated and they feel anything but gentle. So this psychologist, PhD psychologist, came into my office, had a 5-year-old boy who was eating her for lunch. And as I was talking about what she could do, she said, "Would you be willing to come to my house and just sort of sit there for an hour and watch my son and kind of study what I'm doing?" I said, "Well, if you're going to pay me, sure."
House call.
So I did. And I got the idea for a book, Peggy. And the book is this. It's the Drama-Free Discipline book, which is I take common discipline scenarios. I have the parent interacting with the child in a script, like you would read in a movie or a TV series. There's an actual script. And then I step into the scene 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, offering observations or suggestions on what they could have tried differently. And so it's a hands-on, here's the scenario, here's what the parent's doing, and by the way, it's mostly what we parents are tempted to do. And then I say, okay, time out. What if you did this? What if you said this? What would happen if you ignored that? And on and on. And so that's the theme of the book. I think that makes it very different from your basic, how-to parenting book.
So this is a book that has scenarios in the book.
Yes.
Yes. Wow.
So
That's very
the whole book is
practical.
scenarios.
Very practical.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that said, when you say there's drama in discipline, you're absolutely right, Peggy. I deal with an awful lot of very good, loving, faith-filled parents. They come to my office, and they're frustrated. They wanted to have a lot of kids. They don't like what's happening with this lot of kids. The mom goes to confession, and she says, "Bless me, Father. Before I had children, I was pretty nice. Now I'm not pretty or nice." And when I talk to parents, I say, well, look, first of all, what do you expect? Think about this. You are living with an unsocialized or partly socialized human being, one that is full face into fallen human nature. When they're younger, they're completely self-centered. Their emotions can get the best of them, and they can just erupt. So who would choose this as a friend? That's the first thing I say. This is your son and daughter, and you love them desperately, but that doesn't mean they're easy to live with.
Right.
So given that, you want your discipline to be short, sweet, and to the point.
Mm-hmm.
And when you over-reason, you over-talk, you over-nag, you over-negotiate, you try to persuade, that's when the drama starts. Because the child isn't going to say, "Oh, Mother, why, thank you. You make such perfect sense. That's why you're the grown-up and I'm the child. It's all so clear to me now. Can we hold hands and sing Kumbaya around the campfire?" This is not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So given that, for example, I'll give you just a small example, Peggy. The average American parent with a 5-year-old cannot say to that 5-year-old, "You know what you did to your sister is really mean. You go stand in the corner, please. I'll tell you when you can come out." One time, that tone of voice, and get cooperation. Without a meltdown, without coming out of the corner 26 times, without a running monologue about how they hate the corner, they hate the house, and they wish grandma were their mom because she loves them, without a negotiation, without a look that says, "Who's going to put me there, you?" The average American parent can't do that. And the ones who can generally have an easier going kid. But if they have a normal kid, chances are they're going to get resistance. Or, this is another one, a 15-year-old who's disrespectful. Okay, so you're going to write a 500-word handwritten essay for every time you're disrespectful. Now, I cannot tell you how many kids look at their parents and say, yeah, right, whatever, that's a joke. And they're not going to do it. So the parent tries to find something that they can enforce. I know what I'll do. I'll put his favorite hoodie in the trunk of the car, and I'll back the car into the lake. That'll work. He won't get that hoodie then. We don't have the ability to have drama-free discipline because we allow the children to resist the discipline. And when they resist, we get ugly. That's when the fights start. So here's a suggestion. This is in the book. Scenarios: a 5-year-old is refusing to go onto the corner. That's it. He kicked over his brother's blocks, and he's refusing. I tell Mom, simply do nothing. He's not going to the corner. Don't threaten him. Don't say, "I said get in that corner. You get there right now. Why do you do this?" That kind of thing. Just accept it. And then every single privilege and perk that he asks for, you simply respond, oh no, your stuffed animal's gone. You didn't go to the corner yet. Oh no, we're going to grandma's, but you can't play with your cousin. You didn't go to the corner yet. Oh, we're having dessert. We're driving through McDonald's. We're getting a sundae. You don't get one. You didn't go to the corner yet. All you have to do is do that. About 3 times. And that's it. He'll head for the corner because he realizes you mean what you say. I always tell parents, I don't care if your kid misbehaves. Kids, they're born to misbehave. That's what they do. That's who they are. Where you run into problems is if you can't teach through discipline. If every time you try to discipline, it's going to get ugly. You're going to get resistance. You're going to get a fight.
Mm-hmm. And that's not
teaching. You
teaching.
can black out that 15-year-old. Computer gone. Smartphone, which I hope he doesn't have yet, but if he does, gone.
Mm-hmm.
Outside gone. Friends gone. Favorite hoodie gone. Games gone. Everything. Every perk. Dessert gone. One time my wife put green beans in front of my one daughter. She said, well, this is what you're getting for lunch. You haven't given me my essay yet.
Until they,
yeah. Total confidence. It's kind of like the Hulk. Please, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. That's all you're doing. I call it Hulk parenting. You're David Banner. You're not the Hulk.
I remember the Hulk. We're in the same generation. Well, if you haven't recognized the voice already and you just joined us, our guest today, and I'm so thrilled to have him as a guest on the Family Sanctuary, Dr. Ray Guarendi, Catholic psychologist, author, and speaker, one of our big stars on the EWTN network, radio and TV. And he's with us today speaking about drama-free discipline. So, and Dr. Ray, I've heard you speak about this before, and now our children are grown, and so we didn't have the benefit of your teaching when they were little. But I can really. Every time I hear you speak about this, I get it clearer and clearer in my head what you're talking about. And it just makes so much sense because I can remember myself as a parent, and our children were not hard to discipline, I would say. We were very fortunate in that respect in terms of their personalities and so forth. But I can remember feeling like I was just going on and on and on, saying the same thing over and over and over again when I was trying to explain why you can't do this or why this was a terrible thing that you just did. And I was tired of hearing myself talk about it. And it wasn't making a big difference in my child's behavior. So I love the common sense here that we don't continue to try to persuade. I can remember there was a comedian years ago that in the days when we listened to comedy records, had the 33 record with a comedy routine. And he said, when my dad tried to discipline me, I learned not to say anything. Because the more I said, the more he continued, and he was spanking me on the bottom every time I told you not to do this, and then you did it again. So it just doesn't do any good to be constantly repeating yourself. And that child learned, that the more he said, the more he was going to cause more drama, and he was going to be the victim of it. So this makes so much sense.
Parent will come into my office, and one of the most common things they'll say is this, Peggy, I am on him constantly. Mm-hmm. I am disciplining him constantly. And then I'll explore what they mean by discipline, and I'll find that what they're doing is not disciplining at all. It is talking. Mm-hmm. It is reasoning. It is negotiating. It is threatening. It is yelling. It is persuading. None of that's discipline. Discipline's action. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do this because I want to teach you this kind of self-control so the virtue has a chance to take root. If I don't stop you from mistreating your sister, I don't care how much I talk to you about how it's nice to treat your sister with love because you have the freedom to mistreat her. And your natural instinct is going to be to mistreat her if you get the chance. So that's the first thing. Now, I want to brag a little bit, Peggy. My kids are grown now. Can I brag a little bit? I hate the parents who brag, but I want to brag.
Absolutely. Please brag.
Right. Had something that just warmed my heart the other day. My son's parole officer said one of the nicest kids he has. When you hear that, you just feel good inside. That's all.
Right. Oh, well, I'm thinking about, I can remember when our children were teenagers, one of the things that I learned, and I'm not sure whether this is drama-free discipline part of it, but when they were trying to explain to me, why they needed to have the car, let's say, even though I had said, no, you can't borrow the car, you can't drive the car, and they would continue on and on and on about why they needed to. I didn't try to argue with them at that point. I simply I did let them try to reason with me, but then I realized I was letting them, in a sense, just, continue to try to argue the point, but I knew I wasn't going to change my mind. And then I just said, no, that's the decision. So what about listening to them try to argue? If you're not responding in kind, does that help them try to sort out the yes or no?
Well, here's a simple way to gauge that, Peggy.
Okay.
When you give them your answer and you give them your reason, and they blow right through it. They challenge your reason. They argue why your reasoning isn't making any sense. They argue why it's not fair. They argue why you're the worst parent in the neighborhood. You are the tyrant of the decade award. You're a Neanderthal psycho throwback, whatever it is that they think. It becomes very clear that the longer you argue, the madder they're going to get. They may be upset when you say, hey, I gave you my reason, you didn't like it, discussion's over, you keep going, here's what I'm going to do about it. They may be upset about that. They may feel put upon and not heard. But it's worse if you keep going. Mm-hmm. Because if you keep going, I can guarantee you they're going to get upset. Because they're going to give you every reason they think is legit, and you're going to basically shoot every one of them down. And that's just not fair. You are just so stinking narrow-minded in their eyes. Mm-hmm. My wife used to do this with the kids. At one point we had 10 under 12. So she had to be, I'd say, pretty much in control. She had a line. Are you arguing? Now, that line meant if you don't stop immediately, I'm going to put a consequence on you. You're going to go lay in your bed. You're going to stand in the corner. You're going to write an essay of apology. You're going to do an hour's worth of chores. Something is going to happen. You can count on it. So it got to the point where all she had to say is, are you, like puzzles, are you arguing? Like, I don't get it. Why would you be arguing about this?
Mm-hmm. That's good because they knew if they were arguing, then they were going to get a consequence. And I loved hearing some of the other consequences that you think are appropriate for teenagers, for example, because writing an essay, I know I've heard you use this before, and you always get a blowback, let's say, from someone like me. I was an English teacher, so we don't want to make children hate writing.
Ooh,
so how do you respond
You'll
to
make
that?
him hate the corner.
Right.
You'll make him apologize to his sister. You'll make him hate apologies.
Right.
Make him do chores. You'll make him hate chores. Don't make him eat broccoli. He'll hate broccoli. Peggy, anything we do can be negative depending upon the context. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get sent to my room. I love it now. I didn't like it then. I love it now. But let me discuss this. And I used to do a lot of in-services for school districts until they basically found out I was Catholic, and then they don't come and get you anymore. I used to get that. The teachers would say, "Don't use my course for punishment." And I'd say, "Okay, let me ask you a couple questions. If somebody takes your course, English composition, at the beginning of the year you tell them, I don't want to force anybody to write because I don't want you to hate writing. So if you don't write, it's okay. You'll all get A's. I hope you do write, though, because I want you to write for the sheer enjoyment of writing. I don't want to force you. An F would force you. I don't want to force you. Anybody in here willing to do that?" And of course, nobody was. And I say, well, then you're forcing them to write. You're making them write. Why? Because to be a good writer, you have to write. You have to practice. And practice is forced sometimes. Yeah, you're right, Peggy. I have 20 books. And writing is the absolute hardest thing that I do. I would rather wax my car 3 times than sit down and try to put together a good paragraph. Well, but I know that I have to keep doing it because that's the only way I'm going to get a decent result. I remember one time this author, he was well-known, and he was giving a seminar to these young writers, so they all showed up. He went to the podium and he said this, "So you all want to be better writers?" Yeah. Okay, leave right now and go home and start writing. His point was, you got to write.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing about essays, first of all, they're conscience on paper. They are. You see how a child thinks.
Mm-hmm.
You see alternatives. They're time out. You can't do anything else while you're writing. My son and daughter, my two oldest, both wrote a lot of essays, okay? They were the trendsetters. Both of them got perfect scores on their verbal on their SATs.
Wow. What topics?
It's just a matter of, okay, you're going to get good at this.
What topic did you ask them to write about for discipline?
It depended upon what they did. For example, if you mistreated your brother, you write a topic on respect for your brother and what you could have done different.
Mm-hmm.
400 words. Now, my son, he was smarter of the two. He wrote an essay, and he usually tried to talk about, and he counted how many words down the margins, and he hit 400. He stopped dead in the middle of a sentence when it was 400. My daughter, who is now a lawyer, tore us up in the essay. I recognize that you seem to think you know what happened in there, but I don't understand how you did not know what happened in there because you were not even involved. So I guess you're the one who thinks Sarah is. She rips us up in the essay.
She was learning. She was learning.
Of course, she had to write another essay, a longer one. She just went from slander to libel, and.
But she was trying to practice persuasive writing, so that's
sure
a good
was.
type of writing to practice.
It's like, I'm going to tell you why you guys are wrong.
Exactly. Well, Dr. Wave, you've just got a few minutes left, 4 minutes left, in fact. So I really can clearly see now exactly what you're saying, that you just, whatever privilege they could have experienced, like you said, going to your cousin's house or watching something that they like to watch on TV, if people even watch TV anymore for pleasure, I don't know. Or, go down to the store with a friend or ride their bike, whatever it is. Well, not until you follow through, not until you do what I've asked you to do. So
this is not force, Peggy. This is not, and I've had people call the show and say, you're not teaching them anything, you're just making them stop. And you go, you're absolutely right, I am making them stop.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because that's how the world operates. Some police officer's not going to say to me, Ray, you were 27 miles over the speed limit, so I really wish you'd go slower. Can you do that from this point forward? No, he's going to give me a ticket because that's what happened.
So actions have consequences. Really, that's the basic lesson that you're teaching them.
In the real world, that the difference is a mom and dad's consequences come with love.
Mm-hmm.
World's doesn't.
Yeah, beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful, Dr. Ray. Well, and now is this the place to find out more about this? Is your book called Drama-Free Discipline? Is that the name of the book with all these scenarios?
Yes.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. So, and it is available. It's available wherever you can buy good books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bad books as well, I suppose, those places. But good places are EWTN Religious Catalog. But also, if they go and buy it on your website, which is drray.com, you actually personally autograph the book to be sent out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wonderful. Absolutely. That's the way. I've gotten my books from you before, and I know I love the autograph version. So the latest one that I bought was a friend of mine, his daughter she wanted to become a counselor. And so what was the name of your book, Dr. Ray, about Jesus is the best counselor? Was that the name of it?
Jesus, the Master Psychologist.
Jesus, the Master Psychologist. I love that. And I sent it to her as she's starting to study psychology. So that was absolutely beautiful. I've loved every one of your books that I've been able to read, and I want to encourage our audience to get on your website, drray.com, find you on Facebook and Instagram. And Dr. Ray, it's been such a blessing having you on the program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Peggy, thank you so much. It's a pleasure all the time.
Thank you. Thank you. So you've been listening now to the Family Sanctuary. I'm your host, Peggy Hartshorn. And you can find our program again and other programs from the Family Sanctuary. Just go to stgabrielradio.com, choose podcasts, and then the Family Sanctuary. So we are broadcast at 4 o'clock on Saturdays and 2 o'clock on Sundays right here on St. Gabriel Catholic Radio. So please join us again to strengthen our families and make them sanctuaries of life as God intends.
Family Sanctuary is a production of listener-supported St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, AM 820. Archives of Family Sanctuary with Peggy Hartshorn are available at stgabrielradio.com.
Who by the light of the Holy Spirit did instruct the heart